All right. So excited. Today we're here with Kristine Carey. She's the branded guide. We've worked with Kristine many times before with our clients, and she's a positioning expert. She works with our brands to help them figure out how they can hit retail in a really effective way so then they can get market share and traction. So we are so excited to have Kristine here to share with us her top four mistakes that she's seen brands make. So Kristine, we're gonna let you kind of take the driver's seat and share with us your top four mistakes that you see brands make.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of food and beverage. We've worked together on a lot of brands together. And a couple of the mistakes that I see, I'll talk top line first and then go into details on them. But
Yeah.
really, the brands not going beyond their product, talking too much about their product. Secondarily, not being consistent. So they're scattered. Not knowing your target audience or thinking your target audience is everyone. And then the
But a
last
dime
one,
for every time I heard that. It's like
right,
everyone's gonna want it.
exactly. And then the last one is really about your brand character, your brand personality. And that mistake is not having a personality, because going back to the first one that I'll start with is that you're so focused as a brand on your product. So what I like to encourage and we like to encourage together is really go beyond your products. Talk about, the features and benefits and really be aligned on why your product is unique in your category. But there's such more purpose to your brand than just talking about your product. And when you're always telling people to buy your product, people then don't want to buy your product because they want to connect with you as a brand. They want to connect with you as a founder. They just want to connect from a lifestyle and that you're solving a problem for them. So really going beyond your product. The second one is the consistency that I mentioned. And a lot of times when you're starting your business or in your business, you're kind of all over the place. And we really want you to get guardrails and stay consistent, because you might think that you're saying the same thing over and over again, but your customer doesn't hear you say it over and over again. So you want to repeat your conversation and have consistency in your creative deliverables also, your colors, your font, your design, your conversation, so that the consumer who's looking at your product really understands, like, this is who they are and where they're coming from, so they can get really aligned. And I think that's really important, especially in creative.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I for sure. Like
Oh,
you need to have the packaging, the website, like they're all components to the brand story. So if you just have like you invest all your money in your branding, but you didn't invest anything into your website, it's like yeah, there's
exactly.
inconsistencies there, you know?
Yeah.
So
Or
it's
if
just
you're using, I'll say it really simply, red, white, and blue in one thing, and all of a sudden purple and green in another, like that gives the consumers like, what am I supposed to believe in that company and in the products? Yeah.
yeah.
We see a lot of that visually with graphic design and certainly food packaging. And certainly, like, maybe one example is like we have a simple thing like barbecue sauce, and that's one color palette, but then we're going to add salad dressing, and that's like suddenly this whole different color palette that takes you away from the original brand.
Hmm.
And so it's something we
Yeah.
do think about, as we build brands, is does this have room to expand and grow onto new products as we see the need.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's
Yeah,
one
thinking
aspect.
about future too. I think that's another thing people kind of like screw up on, right? Like they're like, "Oh, I'm only going to have 3 SKUs." And then
Oh,
all of a sudden you're like 10
yeah,
SKUs in
yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, "Oh crap, like every color of the rainbow."
Yeah, exactly. So I do
So,
think, planning that out and really thinking it through and working with good designers like yourself, and good strategists that are kind of really honing you in, because I think when you're in your business, you don't always think of those smaller details when someone like us can really help with that expertise.
oh, for sure.
Definitely.
So, do you have any like tips or tricks to like keeping the consistency like from a positioning standpoint?
Definitely. So, when you're talking about your strategy, you really want to think about all those, guardrails of your positioning, your vision and your values, your mission and your reasons to believe, so that you're always talking about the same thing. So as you grow your business and scale your business and you hire more people, they have those guardrails. They know exactly what everything is. And related to creative, all the creative is built around that. And then you have a style guide, and you have very specific logo and very specific fonts and colors that you're choosing from, so that when you need something created, it can be created based on that, so that you're not all over the place, or one day you're thinking everything should be yellow, another day it should be blue. So you're really on top of that.
Oh, so almost like a brand Bible.
Absolutely. Yes. And I
Ah,
think, it's really important, especially as you're scaling your business, or as people come into your business and leave your business. Internal people, marketing coordinators, content people, designers, or just projects, with maybe an event table, a tent, or signage, something that maybe you're doing yourself internally, so that you can really go to that brand Bible and say, this is how we do it. And so it's very consistent.
oh,
Yeah. And we see enough of this where people struggle with, how do I do the next thing? How do I do a t-shirt? How do I do merchandise, or just different elements that aren't straight up like it's the packaging. Once you get away from that, sometimes people
right.
struggle.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
easy to get like moved into like all kinds of shiny objects. Like we're all just like squirrels.
Absolutely.
Like we want to just like go
Absolutely.
do
Have a
something. It's
strategy, stick to it, and stick by your brand Bible and your creative deliverables, and have it outlined for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Oh,
And something I just want to touch on, like this all kind of comes from this idea of like you have certain core values, and that sort of informs these other decisions about aesthetics and language. First, you have a
mm-hmm.
value about sustainability or something, and then that affects how you talk and how you think. Because I think that sometimes business, when they start up, they struggle with like, I could be anything to anyone. So who am I? So having
Right.
some core values that are very important to you, that's probably where this, in my mind, this is where this comes from. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And those should be very fundamental for your business, very foundational, so that those are things that drive your culture,
Mm-hmm.
drive your decisions, drive your team and how you interact with your consumer. And those are really something that stay true to you as a person, but also to your business, and guide your business, exactly what you're saying. I think
Yeah.
those values also kind of jump into the next piece of your target audience,
Oh,
because your values also equal your consumers' values. And the biggest mistake, as I mentioned, is like, my product is good for everybody. And really, you want to make sure you have a focus on what problem you're solving for your consumer. Because when you do that, then you know who you're talking to. And when you have those brand guidelines, also creative and positioning, then you're focused on that also. So I always recommend, do surveys with your current customers. If you don't have current customers, talk to people who would purchase your product or who are purchasing your competitor, because then you get feedback. Talk to your consumers, because the more you talk to your consumers, the more they'll give back to you. And people want to help brands be successful, and they want to be advocates for the brand. So when you're connecting with them, ultimately you're telling them like, I want your feedback. I really appreciate what you're doing. And you can just do really quick engagements with them to align with them, and then hone in on that specific target audience.
mm. So, so doing surveys, that's a good way of doing it. How else have you found of gathering like that information to find that target consumer?
Sure. A lot of times, if you're doing farmers markets, or if
Mm.
you're doing events, sponsored events, maybe athletic events, you get the opportunity to engage with them automatically, because you're talking one-on-one with people. And so, you can get testimonials on your website. There's so many ways that you just have to ask, and
Mhm.
then put, a process in place, a survey, testimonial request, events, so that people just tell you what it is. You always have to make sure, though, when you get something in, pay attention to it, and then
Mm.
kind of put it back into either your product or the conversation that you're having with them.
Mm. So maybe having like a really good organized like spreadsheet or,
Okay.
you know, bits of information, you know, just to make sure that you can easily gather up all that information and have it
Absolutely.
organized.
Yeah, and I know that there's apps for like Shopify that you can plug in that will automatically have product reviews or testimonials that get attached to your website. You do get to approve it before you put it onto your website,
Mm.
so you get to see what it is. If it's a
Oh,
concerned, testimonial or a product review, you can address it directly with the consumer. Or if you get really great stuff, you can post that right away.
oh,
That's
wow.
nice.
That's really cool. I didn't know
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. I think the app for Shopify is called Yatpo.
What's it called?
Yatpo.
Oh, Yacht Po.
YATP.
Okay. Never
That's
heard of
new,
it.
it's
That's
new to me.
cool.
Yeah.
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 Awesome. Well, this is great. All right. So hit us with I think we're at 3 now,
Yeah.
right?
And so the last one kind of pulls everything together, and it's your brand character. I think, saying that you have to go beyond your product, you really need to do that. You need to build a personality for your brand. It might be
Mm,
your founder's personality, very outgoing, very charismatic, or
mm,
it might be something that you're highly educational, very informative. So you can have these different personalities for your brand, because your brand is truly an essence of a connection with your consumers. And if you're going beyond your products, creating a lifestyle, creating a personality to your brand, then the consumer now can connect with that because they align with it. You're talking about sustainability. Maybe sustainability is really important and the earth, and you have this important personality for that. Then you have all these wellness people and people who care about the earth that also get attracted to your brand. So when you have that personality, again, you're attracting that right consumer for the problem that you're going to solve with them.
mm. Okay. So do you have any like tips or tricks around that piece?
Yeah, totally. So when you're looking at brand personality, there are archetypes for
Mhm.
creative deliverables, 12 different archetypes, like a caregiver, a jester, a sage, a rebel, all these different personalities that you can choose for your brand direction.
Mm.
So then when you're looking at that, a designer can help you look at colors and fonts that align with a caregiver, softer, inviting, or a rebel, brighter, bold. And that personality starts to bubble up in the creative. And your goal in these archetypes are really to choose one archetype, because you don't want dual personalities. Nobody wants
Right.
to talk
Oh
to
yeah, that's
somebody
definitely.
that's doing this personality and then this
Yeah.
personality next. But you want to have that hierarchy of one personality. So again, when you're talking to someone as a person, you're like, oh, I love your friendly, approachable personality.
Yeah.
Same is true for a brand. Friendly, approachable brand, or a rebellious, revolutionary, doing something disruptive in your category can
Mhm.
really align there. And like you guys, you're looking at that creative and then bubbling that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the things I
Yeah.
absolutely love working about. You know, the reasons I love working with you is you do like that brand
Mhm.
personality piece. I think it just like fires so much like cool, like, you know, different
Yeah.
creative ideas for us. So
Absolutely.
having that positioning piece of like, yeah, the rebel like personality to the brand. I mean, it just for us, like it can give us so many ideas
Yeah.
and ways of connecting to consumers.
I think this is a piece a lot of people don't think of or don't think of right away, or maybe just don't think of it directly. They kind of get the sense of it without going, this brand needs a personality that determines the voice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
a
think
lot
it's a
of
good,
those a
yeah.
lot of those guardrails I was talking about, your vision and your values, your mission statement, what specifically make, who your target audience, all
Mm.
those pieces align for you to choose a personality, an archetype. And
Mhm.
then the designer, you guys can then align creatively in what that really looks like and help that brand be represented that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a recommended like pathway of how best to create these things? You know, like what like first, second, third kind of thing of
Sure.
how to
So if you're
approach
kind of
it.
going down a ladder of things that have to happen, you really want to have your vision and your values connected,
Mm,
right? So your vision is really, what's your purpose? for why did you start your business? What's your goal for the industry or for your team, your members, or you personally? And then your values, like you had mentioned, it's really the important pieces of like what's important to you from a value perspective. Are you really approachable? Is the earth important to you? All those elements. And then from there, you're going to look at your mission statement. That's specifically what you do and how you do it. And within that mission statement is your target audience. So those two things are together, what you do and for who you do it for. So those are kind of three things that kind of align. And then you start to really say, all right, well, now how do I show the consumer that they can believe in my promise or they can believe in my product? So you start to look at key things that say, these are reasons for you to believe in me. I have certifications, I have great testimonials, I have really the expertise in this category, and all those pieces then funnel into the last piece of your brand character and choosing a personality and then driving all your creative deliverables, your messaging, your website, your packaging, all those pieces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is so great. Oh, I'm so glad you were able to share all those really good tips. So valuable. So, Kristine, how can people connect with you if they would like to work with you?
Sure. So you can go to my website, which is Kristine Carey, and it's Kristine with a K. Carey,
Oh,
Carey, brandguide.com. And I have contact information there. You can also email me there, and happy to set up a complimentary consultation for your brand direction, and really get you on the right path.
awesome. So
that's great.
good. Well, we're excited to work with you again because you make our job so much easier.
Indeed.
Awesome.
So,
It's been really
so
fun to work with you both.
yeah,
Well,
no,
thank you.
we love it. So, yeah, thank you again so much for your time and looking forward to connecting soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.